All right, well, welcome to Mindful Connection Happy Hour, week 9. So we've made it through a couple months of this thing already, which is pretty incredible. And it is, I just keep thinking about the fact that coming together in community, I think, is so important. And so I'm really grateful for those of you who have been able to attend, each week or whenever you could. That's been fantastic. So as always, I always start with gratitude, right? And also thinking about where our focus needs to be when we think about mindfulness in particular, in terms of challenging cultural appropriation. So, and that means honoring where it came from. To me, that's what that means. So I'd like to turn our focus towards the origins of mindfulness practices. That it's an ancient religious and spiritual practice from many cultures, Eastern culture, Hinduism, Buddhism, some other religions. If there's mindfulness that we can find, indigenous practices, they may not call it mindfulness, but they're, the roots of mindfulness are found in lots of different places. And so we want to honor that. I also would like to begin by honoring the land we are on and all those who lived on the land before it was stolen. We honor all of the enslaved peoples who were transported against their will and whose blood, sweat, and tears birthed the nation in which we live. We honor all of those who have chosen to live, work, and sacrifice in service to provide a sense of freedom and welfare for all. And finally, we honor the brave healthcare workers, grocery workers, delivery workers, and all other service workers who are on the front lines, putting the good and welfare of humanity above their own. So with that, please join me in a moment of gratitude for all of the people I just mentioned and anyone else you would like to honor at this time. And with a deep breath in and an exhale, together we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm gonna say a few words and then we'll do a grounding meditation. And then I'll lead you into some deep inquiry, at which point I'll give you some time, 5 to 7 minutes to reflect on your own, and then we'll come back for a closing exercise. This week in particular, I really wanted to focus on letting go of what no longer serves us. And I think during this time of COVID, we have, all of us, or most of us anyway, have probably spent some time in deep reflection of ourselves, our own, whatever's coming up for us personally, as well as what's coming up for society. And so this, thinking about what is the good in that? Like there are some positives if we think we can often come up with some positives about that in terms of building community, and perhaps community that has been built. Maybe you've reached out to people that, you otherwise may not have. Maybe you've had some more time on your hands to reflect on certain things. Whatever it is that however you've made use of this time so far, the idea is, there's always some stuff that's going to come up that's going to be really challenging. And whether it's something for you personally or something that you're noticing is happening in society, which we know that there's a lot going on in that way. And so the way I look at it is that our brains think thoughts. Like that's what our brains do. That's what they're there for, right? And so the idea is not to make less of or light of some of the challenging things that are happening either to us personally or to our communities, but rather to think about, for our own self-care, how we might be getting stuck in those places and unable to shift. to shift our focus, to shift our attention. So this is for that. And I also, really want to stress that there are some things that really do need our focus at this time, the challenges in our society. And so again, not to make light of those, but just to think about, for our own health and wellness, what does that look like for us? How much effort and time are we putting towards that, and not taking care of ourselves at the same time? So with that, I'd like to start off with a grounding practice. And so I'm going to invite you all to just find your seat, find yourself in your seated position. And if your eyes are closed or gazed down, whatever works for you, that's great. Just notice what's happening right now in your body. Notice your breath. Is your breath fast-paced, or is it starting to slow down? I invite you at your own pace to take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, allow your body to just sink a little bit deeper into the chair that you're on. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. Notice if your jaw is in any way clenched. See if you can release anything there. You can even allow your tongue to let go of the roof of your mouth and relax. Just notice the difference there of what happens to your body when you are really intentional and you put a focus on where in your body you might be feeling tension and breathing into that space. I invite you also to find an anchor. And I've talked about anchors in prior weeks, but just to mention that again, the idea that there's something that you can focus on, either inside your body or outside your body, that feels safe. So for some folks, focusing on your breath allows you to sort of let go of what's going on around you and just focusing internally. For other people, that doesn't work so well and they need something else to focus on. And so I invite you to consider someone or something that brings you a sense of peace. Just notice what happens in your body as you anchor yourself. And I always think it's important to have some sort of an anchor when we think about anything challenging in our lives. So we have that anchor to come back to. If at any time anything I say causes you any kind of discomfort or stress, please come back to your anchor. You can even let my words go in one ear and out the other if that works better for you. I invite you to consider what has come up for you during this time, these last couple of months. What's come up for you that you've been holding on to, perhaps that has not been so healthy for you to hold on to? Consider something that your brain maybe continues to fixate on, that in your heart, may not be helping you move forward to grow. And whatever it is that comes up, I invite you to focus on it without judgment. There's no right answer here. There's no one thing, but whatever is inspired in you, whatever you're inclined to consider, that's a good place to start. And honestly, if nothing comes to mind, you might just think of, perhaps you've been reading the news too much. That's really common in our society right now. I invite you to hold whatever it is. Hold it gingerly, with some compassion. I invite you to offer yourself some loving kindness for the fact that you've been stuck on it, harping on it, focusing on it, and continuing to give it energy. So we do this with the utmost compassion and non-judgment. You might even consider what purpose it has been serving you, if any. Ask yourself if it's okay to let it go. What would it mean to let it go for you? If it feels sticky in any way and it doesn't want to let go, take a deep breath in. See if you can give some space around whatever it is. And if it doesn't want to leave completely, that's okay too. Just offer yourself some compassion for going through the process. When you're ready, consider what you might replace it with. What idea, what message? Maybe there's a positive message you can focus on. And it's not to get rid of it, but the message that you're adding is something positive that will remind you that you have a choice. You don't have to get stuck in the same loop of thinking. So I invite you to spend the next couple of minutes focusing on that positive message and just allow it to sort of settle in to your brain, into your body. Just notice what that feels like to have something, whether you go back to your anchor or a positive message. Just notice what it does in your body to be telling yourself something that is constructive rather than something that is consistently challenging. And I'm not, again, not suggesting that you give something up that you really think is worth spending time on. I'm suggesting that you have choices of how much time you're spending on that, whatever it is, versus something positive. So given that we have a choice, I'm suggesting you take a few minutes just to focus on that positive message for just a few minutes. It'll be there when you come back if you want it to. When you're ready, go ahead and flutter your eyes open if they were closed. And when these feelings come up again, whatever the situation was that you were focusing on, that you were letting go of, when it comes up again, because it will, just know that you have a choice, that our brains do think thoughts, and we have a choice in what we want to think, in what we want to focus on. And so I was hoping that the positive message that you came up with, whatever it was, would be a reminder throughout the coming week or two, or whenever that, or forever, that you use a mantra or a message. It's actually very, very effective from a behavioral standpoint. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. And I thank you so much for joining me and for the mindful connection piece of it. It means a lot to me, especially during this time of forced isolation. So thank you so much, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.